Oh, it's now live. Right. It is instant.
Oh, cool. That was all right. Let me just get us up so I can see what people are saying, if they're saying anything.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
And obviously it's going to connect. So hello and welcome to Never Mind the Pie Box, number 364,462. No, I don't know what number we're on, but welcome. We are live in the Secret World Project. I don't know if we're live on YouTube too yet. Maybe we're not.
Oh, I don't know if it's done that. It hasn't come off my phone anyway, but
okay, right. Let's have a look.
This way.
You folks. Let me close Skype, or it's going to be bloop, or for the next hour or whatever.
So
right. Let me just get us up. So it should be connecting to people. How are you, Luke?
I'm good. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
It looks a little bit. It's been terrible weather here for the last 2 days. What's it like where you are?
Where you at? Are you down south?
No, I'm down. I'm in Norfolk.
Southeast kind of thing for me, at least. Southeast.
Yeah, true.
Down south. Yeah, well, it's a surprise that it's horrible down there, mate. Because usually it's lovely, isn't it? Everywhere apart from here, up north.
Wow. I can't see who's. Oh yeah, on the phone's fine.
I can't see anything. Can you? Are we live?
There is actually a live comment section on the screen, which you have to. It's different on then obviously on the phone. If you go into comments, it's popping up with me. Everything's coming through.
Okay, we must be live somewhere then. I can't find it, but
we're live.
Yeah, we're live. Okay.
But it's there. I can see it. I can roughly see it, and it should show up the comments on the right, but you won't be able to see exactly who's saying it. So, but you'll be able to see it.
Let's dance like no one's watching. Let's dance like no one's watching. Whoa! Right, okay, we're live. Yeah, okay, cool. I can see it. I can't see who's saying what, but it'll do. I've got a cup of tea. No, it's got no J in it. How are you doing, Luke?
Good. You just asked that, but yeah, I'm great.
How's everybody else doing? How's everybody else?
Hi.
Facebook user. It's like, hello. Facebook user says hello. Facebook user says, yes, you're live. I'd really like to see who's saying what.
You should be able to get it up on your phone.
Yeah, I'm trying, mate. It's not working for me, but I'll get there. So welcome to another week's Never Mind the Pie Box. Unfortunately, the lovely Natalie's feeling a bit worse for wear today, so I said I'd jump on. And I'm here with the beautiful, the wonderful, the hunky James Bond-like Luke Dugan.
Seriously, you need to calm that down.
Sorry, mate. But no, here I am with one and only Luke Dugan. And I won't ask you how you are again. I really can't see. I can't see anything, so I don't know who's here.
I can always, I can try to.
Okay. Yeah, I can't get it up. Reason, so you are going to have to be chat controller tonight.
Sure, no problem.
Cool, right? So let's get cracking then. I don't know who's here, but
we could talk about anything.
We are going to talk about anything and everything, but let's get business out of the way. How's Amazon doing this week, Luke?
This week, what will be the last 7 days? To me, it's been so everyone has noticed it, and I've seen some comments flying around in the groups. That the sales is going down, but for me, July and August, especially, definitely around that August period, it's nothing uncommon, and it's probably doing, if you compared it to last year, it's already way better anyway. So if you haven't got a massive amount of data to compare, if you've maybe not done it last year and you think, but like March was great, April's great, and now we're going down. It's July and August, maybe But actually, it's going to be far greater than what it would have been if it was just a normal year anyway. So, if you've seen last year, you can probably compare and see it has been better. If you haven't, then that is the trend. Like that's what's happening, and that always happens. Doesn't matter what's going on. July and August, and then September's that little build up before Q4 for me anyway. And I think that July and August, even though you might be getting a little bit scared because you're noticing dips and you're starting to worry or something, don't be. Completely normal, and actually use these months to prepare and almost like compound and double down what you're doing for those last 3-4 months for the rest of the year.
Q4, baby. It's on the way. Absolutely. Yeah. Look, every business is the same. 2020 is such a weird write-off. Like some people are winners. You guys are probably winners in the Amazon world. And we've done all right in 2020, but for most people, 2020 is a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a write-off. So, but putting that aside, normal years, this is summer slowdown. There's a word out there. I didn't invent it. It's been around for probably as long as I've been alive, if not longer. It's called summer slowdown, and it's called that for a reason, because everything kind of goes a bit flat. But like Luke says, if you've got no data to compare against, you'd think, oh, this is terrible. This is the worst thing ever. In reality, this is actually, you're seeing a better than last year at this time, Luke. Is that fair to say then?
Oh, it's if you're doing more anyway, obviously you can't, it's not going to be like, oh, look, because you would hope compared to last year, you'd be doing a lot better. But, just looking at how it seems to be trending with the type of product as well, it seems that there's definitely an impact anyway for me. Just trying to compare from what I've known for the last 4 years or something.
So 2020 is a year I think we're all going to file in the bin, even though there has been some winners, and Amazon sellers probably going to be classed as some of the winners. This year is going to be filed in the bin because it's garbage. It's the weirdest, most freakiest, messed up year I've ever known. But we'll get through it, and that's life and business and stuff. And we're still all breathing, and well, hopefully we're all breathing. Everything's okay. Business as usual, kind of, in a weird kind of socially distanced way. But let's not focus on all that nonsense and garbage. Natalie says we are live on YouTube, so that's something to be celebrated. We're pushing this out live to YouTube as well as Facebook. So you don't have to be in the secret walled garden of the Secret Wealth Project to watch. You can watch this outside if you like as well. So all we've got to do is write some nice titles and stuff, Nat, and hopefully some other people will find us outside SWP and they'll come join the family. But whether you're SWP or not, we love you and we thank you for your attention and being here tonight. So I don't know who's saying what. Do you want to just have a lock in the comments, Luke, and say? Of
course, yeah. Let's have a look. Well, there's a lot of comments, but let's just have a look here. Let's see. Oh, God, I'm terrible with names. Craig Wally, is that right? Okay, if I absolutely obliterate people's names, just go with it. It's saying evening. Fran's saying evening. We've got Andy Henry. Hiya. We got Karen evening. Sorry if I don't read every single name out. There's quite a lot here. Harvey North saying hi. Well, 29 people watching. We're getting there. We can see if we can get 50 would be nice. 31 now. Yeah, Natalie's, of course, checking up on everything. Of course, Sean's definitely joined us today, as always. We got Vlad, and it seems like everyone that I've covered.
Okay, cool. Well,
no questions as yet, anyway. So,
can you make that come up with this live, or see if you can all? Holes just had her hair done. Can I show everyone or not? She looks beautiful today. Check this out, peeps. You do look beautiful.
Hello.
Beautiful.
See what you say. Any comments?
Right. Okay. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you've just joined us, Nat's off tonight because she's feeling a bit under the weather. So, me and Luke Dugan are taking control and taking over. Do you want to talk about anything else Amazon related, Luke, before we get crazy?
Shall we? I've got there was a couple of points that I looked on the comments somewhere from when this was announced. So I thought I might as well just cover them. It's not tons, but we'll do it while we're here. So
yeah, let's do it.
So as the main thing, one of the main things related maybe to the July-August slowdown as well, or that what people are noticing, is the shipment delays at the moment. It's been talked about a little while that there's been shipment delays maybe the last couple of weeks. And some people are saying it's okay, and some people are saying it's taking a while. Personally, I haven't noticed anything. But the way that I've always gone about trying to offset any problems like this that might arise, because obviously you put in your hand your world and you're giving it to Amazon, and they're dictating everything that's happening. So over these sort of the months and the years, as you start looking at these things to try to remove all of your risk at Amazon, a great thing that I like to do is, instead of putting, instead of trying to ship one or two massive boxes with a couple of hundred units in each, let's say, if you were doing smaller products, basically putting all of your eggs into two baskets or two boxes, try to maybe do some slightly smaller spread out shipments where you've got a little bit of a mix of all of your good items, all of your mediocre items, and maybe some of your sort of tick over items in every single box. And yes, you might have to build up a little bit more stock before you send those, but it just reduces that risk so that hopefully 1 out of 10 boxes or 2 out of 10 boxes does book in, after a couple of days, and you're not waiting for that one box that's going to make all your money in a month, to book in. And that if it doesn't book in, then you don't make any sales. So you sort of put all your eggs into one basket, try to slightly dilute that, even if it might take a little bit more time to obviously build that stock. But overall, in terms of looking at a longer term business strategy for that, you don't want to have delays in the future. So to offset that in the future, especially for Q4 when that does arise again, that a tactic is to do that, and it will just help with having a more consistent sort of sales flow than having it sort of where you're relying on one box anyway. There was just
Shona Paul has got a question for you. Shona Paul says, question for Luke: do you send in pallets checking faster than other with boxes? Do you notice, or has yours been slow too?
The pallets, I've been sending in some pallets, so I've been doing a bit of a mix actually, because sometimes it's not enough for a pallet, so you've got to have that.
Are they checking in about the same, or?
I think they're doing all right. They're taking, considering some of them are like 2,000 units on a 1 or 2 pallets, so that's the sort of the shipments created as 2,000, and most of it will be booked, be checked in with after about 4 or 5 days, and after about 7, something like 7 or 8, it's normally fully booked in. But that is 2,000 units. Across loads of boxes, like I just done one today and it's 62 boxes in 2 pallets. So it might take a little bit longer, but when they are booking in, it might take a little bit longer than a couple of days, which is what you were hoping for. But you are getting, I got 62 boxes to book in within like 7 days or something like that. And because I've also got loads in the system as well, like it might be standard UPS as well as other pallets. For me, I haven't really noticed any issues. In that regard, really.
Cool. I tell you what, I've had a 2.25-hour conversation with someone this morning. I think it was this morning, today, definitely. And he was the biggest Amazon seller I think I've ever spoke to, doing literally millions and millions and millions a year on Amazon. So that was interesting. I won't share any more right now, but it was interesting to meet somebody at that kind of higher end, because I know you, Luke, you're one of the bigger sellers that we know of. I know you're doing some serious volume, and so like by no means would you be considered a tadpole, but this guy I think makes everybody look like tadpoles.
I'm sure there's tons out there. It's just that they're not they don't put themselves out there to be known, really. So
no, well that's it. I know a lot of people moan about like course sellers and stuff like that, but like if people don't like make these courses and people don't put themselves out on social media, you don't realize that they're making tons of money right under your nose, and they keep it to themselves, a lot of them, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's cool. Different strokes, different folks and all that. But yeah, it was a refreshing change to speak to somebody doing millions, because there's like, Jesus, I didn't even think it was possible. I know there are sellers out there doing millions,
or they're doing some sort of like weird combination of things that isn't sort of mainstream, I guess.
Yeah, what are you thinking? Like drop shipping or private?
No, I don't, not particularly. I don't know. Just like there's lots of like hybrid versions where they're doing. I know a lot of people, if they got a lot of capital, like they're you could put in 100 grand of capital. So in my eyes, you can get to those numbers, and it may take years. But again, if it's that sort of position where you're literally you're looking for really small margins, but you're obviously doing volume, which is more where I'm trying to push to as well.
Yeah.
But you can always keep going and taking less margins if you've got the capital to invest. And obviously, when your cash flow is probably at a high level, I have no idea obviously who that guy was or anything, but I'm just trying to like push, like extrapolate what I'm at, and then sort of think where I could be. And that you can, if you have £1 million, then you can bring your margins down, because to make 50 grand on $1 million, it's a lot easier. Yeah, there's risk, but that is it's very possible, and it's in theory or in practice, it's quite easy, I guess, if you kind of get what I'm trying to say, in terms of the more that you've got, you should be able to get a little, the percentages should be okay. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. But
he's not primary. Again, I'm not going to share too much, because obviously it was a private conversation, but I think he's interested in the future, coming in and talking to you guys. So maybe down the line at some point, we'll be able to talk more about it. But his main thing is, and he won't mind me saying this, his main thing, I don't think is OA. I think it's more kind of dealing direct with manufacturer, dealing direct with distributors type thing, and getting that volume that way, even exclusive deals and stuff. But real interesting guy, real interesting conversation, and definitely someone that I'll hope will be able to introduce you guys to at some point in the future. But yeah, so somebody mentioned, Luke, about your half-year update or something. I know when we spoke that you were talking about doing big figures, but we were in the height of crazy mini Q4 with the coronavirus lockdown. And obviously, I wondered, like, if the demand drops off a little bit, will you be able to maintain those numbers? How did it go? And share what you want to share.
How's it going? Yeah. I mean, I'll bring up the video, like, and actually go into more depths. But like in terms of like where let's say that I think my highest month recently was like about 70 grand, around that. I can't remember exactly what it was.
That's awesome. And that's this year. That's not.
Yeah, maybe it was like April, or I think it was April this year.
So that was the high coronavirus.
Like March was a bit less, and then May was a bit less. But the last month, so June just come, or June just gone, was like about 50 something. I forgot the exact number, 50 something.
Okay.
But it's less, which is what I expected, and I think August might even be a little bit less than that, which is fine because I'm basically just trying to reinvest everything that I've got, knowing the data, knowing the position I am in, and also just tracking how each month's obviously progressing. If we suddenly saw a massive dip to like 10 grand a month, and there was no, it doesn't matter how much you're hammering away, it's just not going up, then obviously you've got to try to adapt and change your outlook. But I
would say you're doing really well. If you've only dropped from 70 to 50, and maybe even if you go to 40, I would say with this time of year and with the coronavirus stuff kind of easing off and people kind of going back out and shopping wherever or whatever, I say you're doing really well, mate. If that's what you're doing, that's real good.
I'm still pushing. It's going to take me the rest of the year to aim for that £1 million turnover next year. Now, of course, it can be whatever. It will literally be whatever. But all I'll do is I'll put myself into the position of this should be roughly that. Now let's see what happens. I know exactly what I need to do, and then that's it. The rest is just going to be at some point history. But yeah. It might be that you only get to 800,000 turnover or something in a year, and if that's so, that's probably better because I have the challenge. It's probably going to be better than it would have been if I just sat back and sort of let it, be what it was.
Aim for the stars, and maybe you'll land on the moon, but you're still up there.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Sean says this Q4 is going to be amazing. More people will go online than ever, especially if we do get this part 2. I tell you what, Sean, you're not wrong. This will be the best Q4 ever. I've seen some doom and gloomers, but it's like, are you so short-sighted to think that this Q4 is going to be anything other than the best Q4 ever? No, it's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing. Amazon sellers, whether we get a second lockdown, a second wave, whatever or not, it's still going to be the best Q4 ever. Because every year, Amazon's growth does this. Go check out the sales.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Go look at the revenue figures, guys, of the last few years or the last 20 years. It's not this. Any business would be happy doing this year on year, some nice gradual growth. No, it's like this. It's like that. It's like my arms don't even bend that way. It's weird. They are going exponential, and that means this Q4 is going to be the best Q4 ever. Well, you're going to benefit massively from that growth without a shadow of a doubt. Somebody says buzzing, love this biz, but I don't see it on my phone. Oh, there we go. Yeah, nice one, Aidan. Absolutely. Look, you're in the right place at the right time. If you've not started on selling on Amazon yet, what the hell are you doing, folks? What the hell are you doing? Amazon is going to rely more and more on third-party sellers as time goes on. It's only going to go from strength to strength. Lock yourselves in now. Start selling on Amazon now. This is a good time to start because you're not getting the fake spike from the mini Q4 we've just had. So your expectations are going to be lower, and you can get your account nice and seasoned and ready, and things start ungating. Did you know, Luke, about the Dangerous Goods program? Do you know much about all that?
I don't really know much about it. I know that it is a thing, but personally, I've not really looked into it.
So what's happening is the Dangerous Goods program that is built into BuyBot Pro. We're going to simplify it a little bit so it makes more sense. But that a lot of people are getting auto-enrolled into the dangerous goods program, which is why probably people like you, Luke, who's got a seasoned account, don't really know about it, doesn't really bother you, don't really care about it too much. But this is the thing with Amazon. There's a sandbox. I talk about it all the time. And the longer you've been selling, the more kind of restrictions you get lifted and the easier selling gets. So now is the right time to cash in on this Q4, because if you start in July 2020, well, by time November rolls around and when the depths of Q4 and things are going mad, you should have hopefully as unrestricted account as you're going to get. And you're going to get some of the benefits that older sellers like Luke and a lot of you guys in here are going to get anyway. So now is the time to get going. Mark says, if social distancing stays in place, nobody will be queuing to go into High Street in Q4. They'll go to Amazon. You can't even feel comfortable browsing. Too right. Sunday, Luke. Sunday, me and Holly went to the local shops. Right, there's like a Boots there. There's a TK Maxx there. You know, the usual UK big box nonsense. And usually on a Sunday, whenever we've been before coronavirus, it would be rammed out. Which I always say, why the hell are the government imposing Sunday trading restrictions? We should just let shops open when they want to open. If they want to close at 9 on a Sunday, let them. They've got to deal with the staff and all that stuff. Let them deal with it. Let them sell if they want to sell. And usually Sundays are rammed out. Everyone's trying to get the shopping done before 4 p.m. We were there. I don't know what time it was, but when we were there, it was dead. Dead as a dodo. Nobody was at the shops. And the people outside next had visors on. The staff had visors on. And there was red and white tape everywhere. It looked like a crime scene. And it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to go shopping for your kids' Christmas presents in that crime scene and visors and queuing up outside, scared someone's going to cough on you, or you're going to just do it on Amazon. The realistic truth of it, the matter is, you're going to do it on Amazon. So as much as it is what it is, Amazon is the place to be this Q4, without a doubt. Do you want to talk about crypto?
I saw that you were going to bring it up, so go on, we can talk about it.
Oh, yeah, crazy. Do you want to talk about crypto? Who wants us to talk about crypto? Let me know in the comments. If I get 5 people, if I get 5 people in love and like, and if I get 5 people say, yeah, let's talk about crypto, I'm going to tap this boy up for his knowledge on crypto. Right, we got a love, first love. Let's see what we're saying. I'm going to love it a bit because I want to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty much me, the first one. But...
Oh, was that you? Right, here we go. Here it comes. That's Ruth. I recognize that face. Just Ruth. Is that you? I think that might be you.
That's me.
Just Ruth then. Nobody else. Oh,
we got. Is that actually a little bit slow on this on the Facebook? It's probably what it is.
Vlad wants to speak about it. Right, let's do it. Sean says we finally find out tomorrow about VAT being lowered or not. I think they probably will, don't you? I think they probably will. So Andy wants to talk about crypto. So come on then, Luke. I was watching late last night. I couldn't sleep last night. I had the worst night of my life. And I was watching John McAfee. John McAfee famously said that crypto by, I think, the end of 2020 or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I might have the details wrong. You get it down yet. He said that Bitcoin is going to go to $1 million a Bitcoin. That's what he said.
Or he then said he'll eat his...
Eat his what?
Manhood, yeah. He took that back in the end, I think, because, there would have been problems. But
yeah, you don't want to eat your own manhood, do you? But no, what he was saying on this thing I was watching, he was saying it as a joke. He was saying at the time, every crypto guru was coming out and being like, crypto will be 30,000 at the end of the year. So another crypto guru would come out and go, it's going to be 40,000. So he came out and said it'd be 100K. And then somebody said to him, why say 100K? People are going to take you seriously or something like that. And he went, well, let's say $1 million. So he says he was joking and he never meant it. That's what John McAfee says. And now, do you know what he's saying? John McAfee being the infamous guy that created McAfee antivirus software, that born the industry of antivirus software in the world, I guess. you know what he's saying now? The price target for Bitcoin. Do you know what he thinks Bitcoin will go to?
When?
I don't know. Maybe a year or two. I guess he's talking. I don't know about time.
Thousands? I don't know. It could be
100,000. You know what Mr. $1 Million Bitcoin is saying now? He's saying it'll go to zero, Luke. Zero. What do you think?
He's actually in the space. I know he's got some sort of. I'm not. For example, he can do things for fun as well. So, and also he can do things as a hedge as well. So there's many different things. It's like if you can be in everything, why not? If you can give, because I think he's probably at the age now where he's just looking to have a bit of, because if you watch him in depth, a lot of the time he's basically just having fun all the time. It's always about fun. There's no real like.
He's always rubbing his nose, I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. He's doing that kind of thing.
He's got a bit of a clubman cold all the time.
And actually, interestingly enough, mainly they talk about, they would talk about Bitcoin, wouldn't they? There's thousands of cryptos, and actually, you can't really compare like when you talk about Bitcoin as crypto itself, anyway, because most of the others are actually worthless. They obviously have a value.
I'm a big fan of Monero. I think he's a big fan of Monero. And the reason he's a fan of that is because it's the cryptocurrency of choice for the underworld and the criminal underworld right now. So if you go on the dark web, deep web, whatever you want to call it, dark net, then Monero is what they are using. And you could argue that's how Bitcoin got its foothold, by a lot of dirty criminalistic money going into it. But this is just what I read and listen to and stuff. I don't know. You know more than me, Luke. So
yeah, Monero is one of the oldest coins. Out there. It's there's a lot that have been around for a long time.
It's truly private, isn't it, Monero?
Yeah, but the problem as things mature, there's all because it's a lot of it's open source and all that kind of thing, where anyone can just access it and basically try to break it or see if it can be hacked and all, because that kind of thing. There's all over the years, there's been lots of community sort of issues where they brought up problems. Because a lot of them, what happens is they're a community who want to make it better, so they try to see if they can break stuff, but not all the time. There are some that are tokens. There are some that are like they have an actual, like more of an infrastructure, like blockchain. So that's cool. Like what will probably happen over time is they're sort of turn into their own things where they're not just whacked in under one thing. Because some of them that are basically infrastructure based, that say that even something as easy as sharing coronavirus health information across all networks, not related to the actual entity, meaning one business uses accounting software. Some use Sage, some use Zero, and it's like they're not compatible as such as. They can't just go like the blockchain would be created across the board and you're able to share information and it's all recorded properly. And that's more like the infrastructure side, but you have currency side and you have all that kind of thing as well. So really it is just waxing under one thing. But I see it now as
it's a Bitcoin. I think he was talking about Bitcoin going to zero. He was arguing that there is no intrinsic value to it. I think what he was saying, because he is in the past, he said there is. But I think what he was saying is nobody uses it to trade anymore. So once upon a time, it was used as a bit of a trading thing. And now it's not. It's seen as a store of value. I would say he's using it to trade. That's what he was saying.
I would say it's always going to be there. It's basically just another, if you could basically use it as a bit of a hedge against something, then I see it as just, why not? As long as it's not
fiat currencies going down. So
Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean it will. It's more just having, rather than having it all sat in cash or something. That's where I want to, I'm not looking to go and invest all my money in it or something. Like at the end of the year, let's get as much as we can out of everything, and none of that. Like, doesn't mean it won't go up or down or whatever. But
are you sat in?
I've been monitoring. I've basically been watching crypto stuff for 4 years every day, and I still do it. It's mainly technical analysis on it, just to get like some actual, not fundamentals, which is just like it does this, it does this. It's more, averages and basically just trying to get to the position where I'm buying some where it's at the best price. I don't want to just, you don't want to just buy it when it's at the top. You don't want to buy it when it's at the bottom because we'll go low and blah 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 blah. Enough of that.
Have you got money invested in crypto then?
Yeah, I do. The way I've done it actually is I've not bought an actual piece, because you can buy pieces of it because it's worth 9,400, 300, something like that, $9,500 or a bit less than that. So obviously you can buy bits. But I've more done some leverage trading on it, and I've basically just done a long from a low price, and I'm going to leave it. so I basically said it's going to go up, and as long as it goes up from about 7,000.
Like a spread bet? Do you mean like a spread bet? So you're betting on pips, not actually owning the
like contracts?
Okay.
You basically, and you can 100x leverage trade. You roughly know, like, but I've not done that.
You know about CFDs or something?
It's all related around the same thing, but as in you can do that that side of things against normal assets or forex or whatever. But this is just on basically you're buying contracts that it's going to go up, or you can say it's going to go down. But as long as it doesn't go down to a certain, if I'm at 1,000, I go in at 1,000. As long as it doesn't go down to a certain, it will tell you your price. That if it goes below this price, you're basically just sold out of your position. Because you can't cover your position. You can't cover the interest and whatever.
What platform do you use?
It's a platform called Deribit. I think it's called Deribit. I literally have left it for months. I always forget what it's actually called. But it's more like there isn't any real legitimate ones you can go on as such. Like as in they're not like backed by this and that's the kind of thing. But I haven't got a lot in it. I've got like $500, and I literally put a long on. And as long as it if it goes up, eventually it will just keep accruing return. And that's where I'm playing in. If it does go down, then it doesn't matter because it went down. You kind of get what I mean?
So do you put stop losses on there then? So
yeah, you can do stuff like that. So the way I've actually played it is that I'm happy for it if it goes down to my. Where if I haven't got a stop loss. If it goes down to the basically I think like $7,000 or $6,800, then it will get me out of the position because I've gone out of the position. But at that price, I'm happy to go ahead and just buy one Bitcoin and I'll leave it forever, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because just because I know what the averages have been for the last like 4 years and stuff like that, and that's all I'm going to do. And then I just wanted to have it as a bit like getting stocks, just another thing that I want to accumulate. And that price, doing enough analysis, that I'm happy with that price. But if it doesn't go that low and it goes the other way by accident, I can't always get it right. If it goes up, then actually I'm still in a position that's going to gain me Bitcoin over the long term. Or I could just buy it at a later price if I really want to. But,
Is it Bitcoin that attracts your attention the most then, or are you bothered about these other ones?
There are a lot of interesting ones, but the problem is there's so many. How do you know which ones? If there's, someone's there's 6 in there, doesn't matter how much you read them all, and they're all very similar. Like a lot of them are similar. How do you know which one's going to be the actual one? You don't. So it's like, that is gambling, because you
basically track Bitcoin anyway, don't they? When Bitcoin goes up, don't they all go up?
Yeah, there are others that depend. Like there is one called Link. And it's at all-time highs at the moment. So there are there are the odd ones that they go against the trend, or it's because they came out after the period where it was all like craziness. It's come out when it's come out way after that. So it's never been at its fake price because it hasn't been when it was like FOMO and buying. It's actually been naturally creating its price over time rather than it just being completely manipulated, I guess. What do
you call it? ICO, initial coin offering. Is that what?
They don't really have them as such anymore, to be honest. No.
Right. So Ruth says McAfee is a loon. He is a loon. He's absolutely bonkers. If anybody's interested in watching some interesting guy, just watch anything about John McAfee. Supposedly he murdered his neighbor and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's in Belize, wasn't it?
I don't know about all that, but the guy's a character for sure. It also says Bitcoin's having trouble getting over 10K at the moment. Yeah, it seems to have found its kind of thing for now. Andy Henry says he's probably pimping some altcoin. So happy to talk Bitcoin down now. He's insane. Yeah, I think he might have been. He's definitely trying to do the rounds, pimping something. I didn't look into it. Something about Ghost or something. Do you know anything about that, Luke? Some Ghost thing or something? No.
That he's doing? You mean?
I think it's something to do with his Ghost thing.
I mean, I probably have, but I don't. I don't know.
He wanted to run for president. Yeah, I think he ran for president or was gonna. Or something.
I think he did. He couldn't actually do it from the US because he's wanted for tax evasion or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh yeah, I think he's on the run. Is he on the run?
This was definitely something that was said. It was a handful of years ago now, so it could be whatever could be the situation now. But I think it was the last presidential election he was running or something. He could be doing it every time, but
Yeah. Andy says Bitcoin is the OG, but won't ever be used for buying a coffee for the masses. Monero is used more. Yeah, it's probably what McAfee's talking about because they use it for the naughty stuff online. Sean says, I'm just glad I invested my wages in selling online instead of Bitcoin. I'll still be working for a boss otherwise, lol. Yeah, I think I don't know. I guess there's some people actively trading coins, is the Luke. I guess there's a lot of people making
good money. Yeah. I mean, you can actually, if you're just doing technical analysis, you can basically transpose everything across forexes, like stocks and everything. But it's more like the data still represents the same, but because there's less, you have to normally you go off data. Obviously, with cryptos, there's less data, so it's easy to read. Like when you look at a keeper chart, this is the best way that I like to do it. When you look at a keeper chart, the less data on a keeper chart, you can build a picture, but it might not be relevant as if you had a keeper chart that was like 1,300 days old. You know what kind of get what I mean?
Yeah.
You're able to really get a picture for it, and then like guess better, or whatever you want to call it.
I tend to not look at keeper charts these days. I look at Bybot Pro charts.
Oh yes, well I look at everything. I actually do, but yeah. That's very true.
Mark says, evening. Good evening, Mark. Bit late just in. Hope everyone's doing okay. Doing all good, Mark. Nice to see you. Andy says, I was mining Ethereum from 2014 to 2019. How did that go for you? He says, hodl. Mark says, Luke, I do the same on the FTSE. I just bet that the FTSE 100 will rise or fall. It's a long-term thing. Andy says, not a bad idea to dollar cost average on any decent altcoin, which has good tech and a decent team. I just couldn't believe it when they came out with these altcoins. I thought they've come up with this Bitcoin thing, and it's like doing what nobody expected it to. And then I thought that'd be it. But it's crazy. Like anybody can come up with a coin, and then like everybody buys it. It's like, what? I'm going to come up with a Mac coin or a Secret Wealth Project coin and see if everyone buys it. It's for me, it's madness. But hey, it's the new world we live in. Sean says, I tried Bitcoin mining. I saw on a TikTok the other day, I saw somebody, he had so many graphics cards in this warehouse. Like it was
normally in Iceland and stuff like that, like cheap electricity, or it's cold because you've got to keep them. Obviously, you've got to keep them cool and stuff. But yeah. There are big companies that do it now. It's more moving towards the big companies than it is anything else. Like I don't know what they call him off. I forgot, but yeah.
Well, it said on this TikTok that they earn $3 per day per GPU. But obviously, I don't think they were taking into account the cost of the electricity. But I figured if you could get a wind farm going and a bit of a solar farm going, then you could probably get some kind of nice operation going on. But yeah, Sean says, I tried Bitcoin mining. I remember my electric soared and wasn't making enough Bitcoin to even cover it. But glad I tried. Otherwise, it would have been on my mind wishing I had. Same for Amazon. So glad I'm involved with Amazon. Lol. He loves a bit of Amazon. Sean DePaul. Funny. He loves it. Ghost. Andy says, Ghost is McAfee's privacy coin. There you go. So that's why he's saying Bitcoin's garbage, because he wants you to get a bit of Ghost. Hi, John. And Mark says Bitcoin and then all these others, anyone can create a coin. Yeah, it's bonkers. Everyone's at it. So do you think fiat currency or pounds and dollars, do you think they'll ever disappear and be replaced by some kind of cryptocurrency or not?
I reckon they'll probably just try to like use it somehow, use like that block. Well, I think the blockchain will just, most of them they're basically run on blockchains. So a lot of that will get moved towards infrastructure, medicine, accounting, because I know people that have got blockchain roles in big accountancy firms.
How's that? What is that?
It's just building. It's very difficult.
I know what the blockchain is, but how does a blockchain apply to a role in an accountancy firm? I don't understand that.
It's more like having the ability to like. See, I don't want to even get it wrong and then make myself look like a fool. It's so technical, though. It's so difficult.
I won't know, mate. Other people might Google it, but I won't know. You can tell me anything.
It's more like having a decentralized like ledger. You know, like I don't know. And whenever you act, and let's say that when you get onto that highway, which is the blockchain, like everyone can tap into that highway, imagine the blockchain is like a highway. It's right. You know, and the more people that implement that blockchain, the more like slip roads and all that it has on the highway. But it's completely self-autonomous, or in a way, like it doesn't. I don't own this block. I don't like go, oh, I'm going to do that with that blockchain. And you can't, it's community. There are community run sort of, it's very difficult to even explain on this. But it's the ledger system on it will literally be like, imagine there was 100, this is even too technical for maybe everybody.
I don't know what you want about me. I got to be honest.
I can't explain it. Yeah, if I explain it, it will literally make me look crazy.
I don't get it. I know people that talk about the blockchain being the new internet at some point, but like it's going to take smarter people than me to figure all that stuff out.
Basically, just like, get that sort of side it will mature as its own market, and it will start to not really represent like the best parts of it will be pulled and implemented by big companies or, you know, like central banks or whatever. But, you know, yeah, it's hard to, yeah, I won't go any further. Just otherwise I'll just repeat.
Yeah. No worries. Like I said, I ain't got a clue about all that stuff. Andy said, yeah, those graphic cards make a lot of heat. I had to rent a couple of officers to host all my mining rigs. Serviced officers come with aircon and internet. Nice, I like it. I tell you what, I just recently sold my nightclub. Woo! I owned an old nightclub for anybody. Sorry?
I know you've had that for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had it for 10 years now, I think. We was either refurbing it and opening it and trading it, I think, for about 5 years. So for the last 5 years ish, it's been shut down. And somebody, I finally sold it a month or two back, but somebody was trying to rent it out, to turn it into a Bitcoin farm.
They actually
was. I'm not even joking, but I don't really believe that he wanted to turn it into a Bitcoin farm.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
the type of person he was, I think that would be a really nice thing to look through the window and see some GPUs on server racks. But I think he was trying to turn it into something else farm that also gives off a lot of heat. And so if those little helicopters fly over and see those heat patterns, he can go, yes, my Bitcoin farm.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that smell, sir? It smells a little bit like marijuana. Yeah, but I was like, no, none of that. So I've sold it anyway. Thank the Lord. The nightclub is gone. And he says, yes, cash is going away. It's a global push to make us cashless. These virus is helping that too. Money carries the virus. Please use a card. Absolutely, Andy. For a whole bunch of reasons, they would love us to be cashless. They're pushing that way. And I suppose if they allow some kind of form of crypto that they don't control, that's not in their best interests either. So am I right in saying China's just banned crypto? Did I read a headline that said China's banned?
They probably banned it like 5 years. I think it's been banned pretty much the whole time. But then if you look into it, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is a little bit, or it's the way you're doing it or something.
Right.
A lot of them have moved to like Malta, all the companies and stuff, because they basically just, Malta wants to become like the crypto hub of the world. I don't know what it's now doing, but it's you know, there's countries that are basically embracing it.
Yeah.
And saying anyone, because obviously it's good for business, you know, ultimately it's good for business. So you can like, so Binance, I think, moved from China or something. And because it's all online as well, you don't really need to have a headquarters or actual physical premises. in wherever it almost isn't allowed. But it's just obviously the use of it is a bit more.
Well, that's it. I've seen McAfee saying that they can't ban it. You can't get rid of cryptocurrency. But ultimately, of course, you can ban it. Whether people still use it or not, who knows? But they would be committing a crime if it was banned, I guess. But that put a lot of normal people off it, wouldn't it? If they was to actually say it's illegal to use it, well, I ain't using it then. Do you know what I mean? So normal, everyday people aren't going to use it.
It's just like, oh, well, we can turn the internet off, and then how are you going to send it?
Yeah.
So
you turned off these days. Could you turn the internet off?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just sort of giving you a random.
Yeah. Andy says blockchain is just a big ledger that accurately keeps information which anyone can check to prove that the values owners are legit. Good for tracking goods. Amazon could use it to confirm a product was legit from manufacturer to consumer. Fair enough. Rick says some countries' governments are making their own crypto. Venezuela has the petro. Aren't Facebook making their own cryptocurrency?
I think it's basically very close to either have. I don't think it's going to work because a lot of them are pulled out. It was okay. Facebook purposely actually wanted to do, because there's actually a country in Africa. I saw a documentary about 5 years ago, and they use some sort of like WhatsApp-y messaging thing to send money. They don't use the actual either. I don't think it's even the actual currency.
China use WeChat. China use WeChat.
So I know what you mean by that. But Facebook wanted to create, and they kind of have. I have seen stuff about what you're allowed to send in stuff through invoice, like friends or something on WhatsApp. But I know a lot of companies that joined the. Forgotten the company that they set up for what Facebook were doing. A lot of them are pulled out. So I don't exactly know what's happening with that. It's because there was a lot of uproar about Facebook's not particularly seen in the news very well as it is, with the way that they can basically do what they want. Like they can create an outcome and do, the power that they have is a bit too much. There's not very much legislation is basically what it is. And I think they try to get around it by having themselves as well as about 20 other companies as part of one business. So Facebook weren't the ones that were in charge as such,
Yeah.
They'd be like, but it's not us. It's like there's 20 of them, but I think a lot of them started to pull out. But that's as far as I ever saw in that.
If the Facebook gods are listening and they don't like anything that's just been said, they are Luke Dugan's. They are his express views and stuff, not the Secret World Project or us. So don't shadow ban us. Shadow ban him. Just kidding. Yeah. Some countries' governments are making their own crypto. Venezuela as the petro. And he says some countries are already testing going cashless. I'm going to read these last few comments and then we're going to move on from crypto.
Yeah.
China keeps saying that, but it's just noise. All governments, banks just want a form of crypto that they control. They do with the current money. Yeah, absolutely. Then crypto will be everywhere, but will just be called digital money. And the blockchain tech will be what's behind it. Kathleen says Zimbabwe uses EcoCash, if that's what you're referring to, Luke. And Andy says Facebook was going to use Libra token. Right, that's it. Crypto talk done. Yeah. Let's move on and move quickly on to what do you think is going to happen to the stock market and the property market? And if you think anything's going to happen to them, when?
Who are you asking? Are you asking me? You're asking everyone.
You.
Well, I've been watching a lot on this, not only by what you've been saying for years, as in people that
2016, cash waiting for a crash, and we're now 2020 still waiting.
And it's like, Sean, all I see is about 50,000 posts from Sean every single day about something related to that. Very similar things, houses and stock market. And it's like, and I also watch this person that I know that I've been watching for like 4 or 5 years, and he talks about crypto, but actually he also goes and looks at everything else because he looks at the charts, and that's just one way that you can look at them. Is
it Siam?
No, it's not a very big person because he's purposely kept his channel alone. I don't sort of want to keep it like that. Little secret. But I've been listening to what he's been saying for 4 years. I bought a course from him and everything. So it's not like he's just he could have got me. It's possible, but I've really listened to him, and he's been saying that one thing is sometimes, obviously, if you're looking for a massively long-term investment, then it's more about the long term than it is any 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. So like those years are, even though 3 years might sound quite a long time, it's actually not necessarily. You're looking for that one time in your life just to go in and then sort of let it ride for like as long as you sort of almost can. If you're looking at that expansive. But he's saying that the position that we're in, it may come lower, but it won't go lower than what it was as of, when was it, March?
Are we talking about the stock market?
Yeah, stock market. Yeah. So we're talking about like, it could be the UK, the charts, basically they look exactly the same. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, the UK, Germany looks a little bit, UK and Germany look a little bit crappier.
I was going to say, I think one of them's detached. The one that I can't, is it NASDAQ? The one with Amazon, with FANG on it, Amazon, Facebook, or Google, and all them. Then that's a little bit more.
I don't actually know, because I think they're in the S&P. As far as unless I got it completely wrong, they're in the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ is the one which is actually, they've got that completely wrong. Someone.
Yeah, I don't know. I look.
The NASDAQ's the one that's doing quite well, but they're all doing decently well compared to the bottom. They're up. I looked at the percentages. From bottom to top was like 38%. This is roughly, was like 38, and it went back up about 20. One of the tops to bottom, it almost recovered in a way, bar about 10% or 11%. But considering it went down 38 and then it very quickly recovered, but I've not been in I've not done this. I'm not anywhere close to being educated enough on knowing when. Like for me, actually, what I'm mainly thinking is that this is also so everyone that might do Amazon as well. And I think this is a little bit more important for like the mindset of doing something like online business or, doing that. If you just can just relate to Amazon, is that I used to think to myself, oh, but I can do Amazon. I can make all this money or whatever I'm trying to do. But then, what about the stock market? And then what about something else? And it's like, yeah, because look, it's going up. And like, as in a way, if you could do something amazing or like an absolute mastery level, you almost don't need to worry about all the other distractions. If you can just see, it might not be instant, but if you can really get something to like an expert and a mastery level, you can almost do all of those things later on as just a general prop up or an investment, but not be like, oh, I should be getting in now because look, it's going up, and like more of that like fear and like emotional side of things. When if you could do something, I was thinking the same, recently. I was like, oh yeah, but what about that? I can put some money into that. I made, like, hang on, Luke, what about if you really thought, hard and long, why try to complicate something that you don't need to complicate right now? Yeah. I just thought, even just for now, I know that's going off topic a little bit, but
I think you're in the right game. If you can take your cash, put it in stock, flip it on Amazon, and make a lot of money, and you can, let's face it, you're going to turn how many times do you turn your stock over in a year, Luke? So let's say a pound in January that goes into stock. How many times do you flip that before the end of December, same year?
Wow.
Ish, just that on average, rough idea. 3 times, 5 times.
No, I probably have to say let's just take it by months. It's probably easier. £1,000 in January. That's probably I don't know why it's easier. I could probably turn it into, or yeah.
So let's
flip it.
Yeah, how many times? So that £1,000 you put into stock in January. When do you expect to get it out? Is it by March?
The whole thing? I think. Well, yeah, I think it could be sold in 80% in 2 weeks,
right?
And then probably the last 20, over the next 2, and
in 1 month.
In 1 month, and then as the year progresses, it probably does increase. And it might stagnate. It might just sit still for a couple.
What, take longer or take less?
No, it take less. So January, February, March. I always see as a little bit of the 3 slowest months.
What was that? What was that?
Did you hear that? my mate's watching the football. I was like, what on earth?
Nice.
Yeah, January, February, March, you could is what I would say for that. I thought, and then as you progress through to like the June, July, August, I think those 3 months would probably be very sort of, they're not going to really do much. They might just sort of tick over okay. And as you then get through to the last, not just the last quarter, but and even towards the end of August, definitely September, October, November, and December, I'd say you can go from September to December, you could put 1,000 in and you could 10 times put that through. So you could basically you could do 10. But I think if you invest
in a year, then Luke, in a year, how many times are you going to turn that 1,000?
You're going to turn it over
10 times, 15 times.
Let's go for 12.5 times. Why not?
12.5 times.
I don't know.
When you turn it over one time on your £1,000, what does it turn into? Is it 1,100? What's your profit like, including your?
Yeah. So the way I would say it is, if you put 1,000 in January, you'll get out after expenses and profit. Obviously, it varies, but that's say you get out 1,250 quid, and then 1,250 quid in the beginning of February. You can go in and you'll get 1,850 quid. And then 1,850 could be like 2.5 grand.
By the end of the year, what do you think it's turned into?
Grand. Profit.
What do you think it's turned into?
Like grand. I think you can turn like 1 grand into 5 grand quite easily
in 1 year.
Yeah, like that. But obviously, that is limiting you also to only £1 grand to be able to play with. So the way if you find a good purchase, you probably won't have that many as stock.
Okay.
Where obviously, if you're slightly more expansive on that, you can.
So you take £1 grand and turn it into 5 grand by the end of the year selling on Amazon. Well, then you don't really want to be putting any money in stocks, do you? Or crypto, I would argue, or property.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, your this is what you were trying to say, I guess. Your active business is where you should apply your money, and I think that's the case for most people. They're going to have an area of expertise or an area of high performance, in which case, stick to that. Don't like if you're even making 2 times your money by the end of the year, why invest it and make 5% or 3%, and that's risk bearing, So I think if you're going to do that, good on you. Be active. Don't.
But obviously, there's limits as well. It's like how far do you want to push it? So there obviously will come a time. It's like if you try, you can do $1 million on Amazon in a year. Well, do you push to 2, or do you think that's fine, and then I'll move away from that? But you might, as in, there's always risks. You
do 2 million, and then when you've done 2 million, you go, "Ooh, do I push to 3?" Of course you do. No, why are you selling yourself short? Push to 4 million. You keep going, baby. Mark says, I vote for the Bezos coin. Ruth says, Amazon were going to make their own crypto too. Right, now we're on to non-crypto talk. Sean says, crash, crash, crash. He can't wait, can he? Andy says, stock market and property market down, down, down soon. That's interesting, Andy. Okay, Sean says, house prices down 4 months in a row. Last time like this was 2010. It's coming. Sean, that's not what I'm hearing on the grapevine. House prices are going up right now. That is what I'm seeing and hearing on the grapevine. And when I say I'm seeing, I'm actively looking to source property. So they are going up. But maybe some markets at some price points is the opposite. But prices down 4 months in a row. That's interesting. Manish says time to buy. Andy says silver or gold will be great. I keep wanting to buy silver and gold. But I feel like with silver, I don't want to touch because of the 20% VAT. You're already at a loss as soon as you bought it because of the 20% VAT. And gold, it's gone to last time I looked, it's like 1,400 an hour.
Those, isn't it?
Yeah, it's already gone up like 40% in the last, I don't know, couple of years or something. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I feel like the trend is your friend, and it probably will keep going. I don't want to buy when it's already increased like 40, 50%. So I'm probably going to miss out on that one. Sean says, I'm getting Mark, my accountant, to put limited company profits into property when we reach rock bottom. Absolutely, Sean. John says, you won't know when we reach rock bottom, which is true also. Sean says, more job losses come in when furlough scheme ends. Still no signs of any recovery. Government are to change stamp duty to keep it moving, but it won't be enough. Lots of job losses come in. We'll have to see, Sean. Let's see if you are a prophet or not. People think everything is okay, but it's really not. I agree. Things are not okay. But whether they can prop them up for another few months or years, who knows? Christos says, Long term, no one can time it. I've invested a consistent amount every month, no matter what the market. I told Holly to do that, and she made good money just investing monthly, doing the dollar cost averaging thing. And whenever I do it, I time the markets and lose. Christos says, for the past 3 to 4 years. Nice one, Christos. You should be sitting on some nice gains. Andy Henry says, yes, dollar cost averaging is the way to go. Then don't watch the turbulence and hold. The problem with the stock market is it's so liquid. You can get in it today like that, and you can get out of it today like that. So the problem is emotion runs high, and this is what Andy's really kind of, I suppose Andy's, well, he's referencing, I guess. But the emotion is high. If you don't dollar cost average, you're tempted to sell when you should buy and buy when you should sell. And that's what happens because of emotions. Whereas if you dollar cost average, you buy when it's low, you buy when it's high, and it all comes out in the wash. Manish says, to be on the safer side, I invest in ETF. Yeah, okay, cool. So that's all of the comments. Right, so
I'll say quickly, actually.
Yeah.
Just, why not add it? Like that's the, you were saying about emotion there, but it's the same with them. It should be applied across a lot of things. Basically, if you apply emotion to pretty much any technical decision, you're probably gonna, you can be lucky number one like once, but basically you don't want luck to be anything to do with it or whatever you want to call it. I don't, if you believe in it or not, but you want it just to be on basically as solid data as you can, and there's no emotion being brought to the table. So like when I do my Amazon purchases and stuff, people say, how can you spend like 10 grand in like 10 seconds on a purchase? But I'm personally not buying that. Like my brain isn't connecting on that level to do it. I already know what I'm doing. And that's obviously, I don't know across everything. There must be slight differences depending on what you're doing, but it's like, I can clearly see a actual, not improvement, because it is an improvement, but I can see like the results which are backing that up consistently over the years. And it must, and when I look at everything else now, I try to bring that to the table or don't get involved at all, is what I do.
Yeah, emotions is a terrible thing. Some people trade emotions in the stock market. I don't know if you've heard about the fear and greed indicator. Have you, Luke?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's called a VIX or something like that, fear and greed indicator. So when everybody's getting greedy, they say time to sell, but that's when most people are buying, at least retail investors. And then when everybody's getting fearful, people say that's time to buy. And you can literally trade the swings on the greed and fear index by just looking at that. And I find that interesting because that's pure, that there's no fundamentals involved. It's purely kind of emotion and technical driven. And it's like, I just find that stuff blows me away, but I like to look at that. So I've been waiting for the fear and greed index to suggest that everybody's like getting greedy, because I do think it's coming. But I'm trying. I'm ready with a little bit of cash to move into the stock market, but not a lot of cash because I can't buy stocks and shares through a limited company account, and I'm really trying to do that. But Hargreaves Lansdown, and you know what? Shame on you, Hargreaves Lansdown. I made a video on YouTube about you guys, and it's had thousands of views. And shame on you, Hargreaves Lansdown. I'm a customer of yours, have been for years. I messaged you like 2 weeks ago, no reply. Messaged again through their secure messaging platform, so it's not like it's got lost. No reply. It's like, why are you ignoring me, you scumbags? So if anybody knows a decent stock trading platform that will work with limited company profits and stuff, let me know, because Hargreaves Lansdown do not deserve your time or attention. But yeah, I've got cash in companies that I want to invest in the stock market when things go bang, because I'm just going to invest, not investment advice, of course, but I'm going to invest in defensive dividend-paying assets to just ride out what I think the upcoming storm is going to be. John Stevenson says a house price index showed house prices have been falling for 4 months in a row. The first time this has happened since 2010. I think he's quoting Sean's comment. Daily Mail, so it must be true. Yeah, it's not true. It's not true. I've been in the market, looking in the market, and in an area where I knew you could get like 55,000, 60,000 pound small houses They're all now 75, and you can't get anything for less than about 75. The market, especially at the lower investment end, has been pushed up. And I think a lot of it is these bounce back loans. I think people have been using bounce back loans and buying houses. And in fact, I don't just think it, I know they've been doing that, because if you think about it, I mean, I don't want to say it's a smart idea at all, but, and I know the guru's been teaching it, but they give you £50,000 that some people have been putting into a house, knowing that they're going to yield 5% a year for the rest of their lives, and it's going to cost 2.5% or whatever, and they're going to get interest free for a year. So I'm not saying that you should do that or should consider that, but I think that has been falsely inflating the lower end of the property market, because people have just been taking all this excess capital and shoving it into stuff like that. Have you heard anything like that going on, Luke?
No comment. No, no, I don't know. I don't know anything. No, the only thing I was in, this could be anything, but like data as well is always delayed. So what currently, what's currently happening may not actually be the reason that it's showing it's happening on data.
That is what I was trying to say. I went off on a tangent, but the stock market is so liquid. You can get into stocks today and out stocks today. So it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to be faster to see what's going on in the world than, say, property. So, Sean, I know you're waiting for a property crash. Well, property crashes are going to take that little bit longer as the effects that cause the crash kind of spread. Whereas the stock market, that can just go bang like that. Whereas the property market, less so. I think at least the values, there will be a bit of a lag between what's caused the crash and the effects of the crash, if you know what I mean. But Sean says, talking to property, if Luke is spending 40 grand a year plus in prep fees, surely you would rent a warehouse and get staff. Even better if you buy.
I worked out how much my prep fees were going to be over about a year. It could be about 45,000. At the level I'm trying to push is what,
so why not hire? So Sean's saying, why not hire? And I know you've talked about this on previous, never mind the buy boxes.
Yeah, it's something that has to be at least looked at rather than being lazy and saying no, it doesn't matter. Because if you're spending $4,000 a month, if you over Q4 could go up to four and a bit. It's you could hire someone on half that, get which is still going to be for depending on who it is, still going to be decent money.
18, 20 grand a year, you're going to be able to hire a member. Yeah. A warehouse plus insurance plus heat and electric and any rates and all that stuff, probably another 10 grand for a nice, decent sized unit, rent and
it's more the longer term picture is like, how many years of that before you could just buy something. And if I spend 40 grand a year and I do it for 3 years, it's like, you could easily take that money. And if you've got it and maybe after 6 months look to, it might cost a little bit more of an investment up front. But these are things to think about anyway.
I've heard prepping's become a nightmare these days, though. It's a nightmare, isn't it? Now then you have to take photos of every piece of stock or something just in case Amazon kick off. Or is that wrong?
I haven't had that. A guy I know said, "Do you want to? I'm using this prep center." The guy, I basically taught him. I've talked to a guy that was made unemployed because of the whole COVID thing. He's doing my prep. Would you like to give him a go? Give you a good rate, and he's basically going to look to set up like a not secret, but like an exclusive group where it's basically just catered to a very select number of clients. For prepping, and they're trained by sellers themselves rather than it being potentially a third party who hasn't done it themselves, which could be possible. A lot of people wouldn't do it, and that's just the way it seems to be working really well. But I haven't tried a lot of the other ways because it's only something I've really looked at recently. I've only gone in recently.
Oh, you've been doing your prep, haven't you? You've been doing your own prep.
I was like, because now that's 40 something grand that I would have been getting it. I'm like, no, just like, but I'm more looking as well. I wouldn't be able to do like £1 million turnover next year. So I might make an extra 100 grand, but I'll lose 40. Okay, well, I'm still up 60. You kind of get what I mean?
And you've not got the bad back, the blister.
Yeah, exactly. and I'm building the foundations for something that could happen in 4 years' time because I have the time now to build things that can create the future. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean says, John, banks are also making it harder to lend money now. You need bigger deposits now. And he says, yes, emotional control is a key factor for any business, but especially online, Amazon, Forex trading, match betting, etc. If you can't keep your emotions out of your trades, investments, you're asking for trouble. That's why I like property. When I've bought properties, so I've got a bunch of properties that I rent out. I don't look at what price they are. I have no idea what price they are worth. Without getting a valuation or looking at comparables, there's no way of knowing anyway. So like, I don't look on a day-to-day basis. I don't look on a weekly basis. I don't look on a monthly basis. I don't even look on a yearly basis. My houses, I don't have a clue what they're worth. I've just got a rough idea based on where the market's gone, but that's it. And I don't care because I'm invested for the cash flow. So that's why I like property, because it keeps my emotions out of it. Now, I've invested hundreds of thousands of pounds over the years in the stock market, made some money, lost a ton of money. And I tell you what, emotion is the one thing that drives my losses, because I buy at the wrong time, sell at the wrong time. And yeah, you gain experience and you tend to not make those same mistakes again going forwards. But it's difficult. Whereas property, you just chuck the money in, take the yield and leave it. And that suits me. Lovely. Andy says, Trading in the Zone. Mark Douglas is a good book about managing emotions in trading. I haven't got time to read a book on managing my emotions, Andy. I prefer to just hide under the stairs and cry myself to sleep. Terry says, can you buy Bitcoin through your limited company? Luke, do you know this?
I don't know. Not to me. Don't know.
My guess is maybe.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say it should basically be as if you were just investing in an asset.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. I don't know how the taxman and the lawmakers consider Bitcoin. I know you can buy property through your limited company, and you can buy, as far as I'm aware, you can buy. I asked this question to my accountant a few months ago. You can buy stocks and shares through your limited company as well. So why not Bitcoin? Whether you want to or not, I don't know. I think you can buy gold and silver through a limited company as well, maybe, but I'm not sure you want that showing on your balance sheet. Matt Budd says, property market won't crash. Houses around here have never sold so fast. Yeah, right now things are going bonkers. Our country dynamic is going to change, and people are going to venture out from the cities, as working from home has worked out for so many people. Companies are going to evolve and have some form of hybrid working going forwards. We've advertised for a couple of job roles recently. One of the jobs, which is a work from home job, not an opportunity, literally just a job for a wage, over 400 applicants. 400 people applied for this job, which is bonkers. And I think part of it is because, look, we said you can work from home because that suits us, it suits them. And people are seeing this coronavirus thing and going, working from home is not too bad after all. But my opinion on that, and what do you think to this, Luke? I think people getting a job working from home, especially younger people, will see it as, it sounds great on paper, but once they've done it a while, they'll get lonely and bored and want to venture out. What do you think to that?
Oh, because you know what it's like to work at home by yourself.
In my 20s, I worked at home by myself in my pants, making money.
It does get depressing a little. Not depressing. I wouldn't say I've ever literally been depressed, but it's like you don't have. Basically, I'm going to accept I might not make any more friends for the rest of my life. In a way, like I know I have from different things, but because you don't interact with people at work.
You are doing
little things. Yeah, of course. But I've had to put myself out there by doing more than just. I could never use the internet and just do my Amazon thing and that's it. It's obviously, yes, that things have occurred, but it's like, you don't have that connection with new work friends, or you don't go out for a beer on a Friday. Even that little thing I used to have, like, there was one time at my old job and I loved it. Every weekend there was new things going on. Going away for this weekend, doing that. And that almost made the job, actually, at one point. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of, especially younger people, I'm not discriminating. I'm just saying I was a younger person once upon a time and I felt this. I think the younger people will think it sounds great. Oh, work from home. Oh, amazing. And they'll do it. And then they'll go, wow, I'm lonely. I feel isolated. I feel a little bit bored. So I think for the right people, working from home will be like a godsend. if you've maybe got a family and maybe you're older and you've done the work thing and you've tired of hectic life, I get the work from home might make sense. But from the younger people, I think it's a grass is greener thing, and they'll actually be like, well, I'm missing out on all that stuff Luke just said. Andy says people who lose their job won't have money to buy a new house, but on the other side, they will be motivated sellers for the same reason. Absolutely. Sean says people using the money to buy top posh cars too, not just houses. Wow. People buying cars with bounce back loans?
I haven't.
Jesus Christ. If that's what you're doing, people, you are absolutely bonkers. Sue says the bounce back loans are a stimulus package. They want them to be spent. Yeah, true. Very true. Natalie says, yep, prep is a nightmare. She's been quite quiet on this one, but she's like, yeah, prep's a nightmare. Matt says, do you know many people who've lost their jobs? I don't know anyone. I assumed it was just the mainstream news trying to scare people. I think some people have, but I think there's a lot more fear of people losing the jobs than actually lost them, Matt. But I'm not sure. Not sure. Andy says, yes, and I know people whose companies are laying off a lot of people soon too. Natalie says, I know one person who lost their job and walked into another job, a better job the following week. Lucky them. Andy Henry says, Johnson Matthey cut dividend and plans 2,500 cuts amid coronavirus. Yeah, there is a lot of people. There is a lot of job cuts in the news, isn't there? Like, who is it? John Lewis? Didn't they just recently cut a load of jobs?
Yeah, I think almost everybody is doing something, aren't they?
Yeah,
definitely like the sort of high streets and most of the high streets. I can't see the high streets. I mean, it was already basically gone, and now it's. And I've already been planning for it. Not planning, but I've already been like, yeah, I think this is going to happen. This is going to happen, and now it's just going to be like instead of in 10 years, it might be in 2 or 3, maybe like a 3 year, 3 years rather than like a 10-year period.
Yeah,
and then there's be nice restaurants maybe and some flats. I don't know. How because how are you going to convert them? Because a lot of them are big city centres or something, and it's like. I know the massive ones are fine at the moment, the big shop, but even them are starting to, you're sitting.
I think into have gone bang.
That's my mistake. Yeah. So there was the 2 massive ones wherever they are.
Into Trafford Centre and one in London, I think. But they're into Derby, so I don't know why Into's only like letting some go bang. I don't know what the deal is with that. I've not looked into
probably
it.
Like I don't know, got separate subsidiaries or something. They've probably done that. Switch around.
John says, forget stocks, buy toys. And he also says, I take Matt's point about the low-priced houses, which are bought for cash. However, the main property market is controlled by the banks. No matter what measures the government takes, stamp duty, etc., if the banks won't lend, the prices will fall. Unemployment is going to be a major issue, which will lead to enforced sales and repossessions, etc. Absolutely. I think we're still stored up the worst yet to come, for sure. And you know what? Somebody said that the house prices are not dictated by the affordability of them. They're dictated by the availability of house loans or mortgages. So if you can borrow £1 million to buy a house, you probably will. If you can't borrow £1 million to buy a house, you probably won't. So house prices will follow accordingly. So as credit dries up, if it dries up or it gets more expensive to borrow money, then that is probably going to have a big effect on stuff like that. Sue Maxwell Smith says, I am a W, Matt. Houses never go to zero. What does she mean by I am a W, you, Matt?
I am with you. Oh, I don't know.
I'm with you, Matt. Yeah. Okay. Houses won't go to zero because unlike Bitcoin, sorry, Luke, there is intrinsic value in the fact that people need to live somewhere. So even if the house price fluctuates, people still need to live somewhere, which is another reason I like bricks and mortar. It's a plot of land, and it's a big bunch of bricks, and somebody can live there. So that can't go to zero, really, unless the government say nobody's allowed to own a second home and we're going to take them all off you. It's not going to zero. There's going to be some intrinsic value. And again, I'm not bashing Bitcoin. I'm very interested from afar at what goes on with the Bitcoin phenomenon. Sean says, I bet there's forms you will have to fill in when moving limited company profits into property. This is where Mark will come in handy as he knows his stuff, and I'll get Mark helping me. Mark knows his stuff. He's talking about Mark Hawley from Passive Tax. Absolutely, he does. Mark's as good as it gets as far as Amazon-based accountants go, and he does understand that stuff as well, so he can help you move that money for sure. But I don't think there's much to it, Sean, with regards to putting company profits in property. I don't think there's a whole lot to it, but I might be wrong. All my property is still owned personally, but I have started a property company that's done no trade yet that is going to just buy property and rent property out. Sean says, I'm basically going to want Mark to help me so I know what I'm doing is correct way, etc. Wow, it's getting late. I'm going to go through these comments, Luke, and then we'll have a few final comments, and then we'll wrap it up for the night, and I'll go let you have a bath, or what are you going to do after this? What are you going to do after?
I might watch a little bit of football, and then I'll get into bed really early to be honest. There's nothing sexy about that. I'm just in bed at like 8 o'clock normally, so it's pretty past my bedtime by 20 minutes, but all good.
It depends how you sleep.
I normally go to bed about 10, and I'll wake up.
No, not what time you sleep. You said there's nothing sexy about sleep.
Oh, that's very true. Well, my mate's downstairs, and there's nothing going on there, so that's that.
That could get quite sexy if there was, but no, that's a fair point. Ruth says, that's why Never Mind the Buy Box is so great. It's like our Amazon Sellers Social. Absolutely, Ruth. We get to chat and different people here. Luke Dugan is a very irregular. I come on semi-regular. Nat's here every week. It's nice to get our heads together and be like friends. David says, have you guys heard about Complete Savings emailing regarding accounts and terms of service? I have. What have you heard, Luke?
Nothing.
Oh, you've not heard anything?
I use them fine. Like, I've not had any problems. So,
is it against terms of service to resell? I get the impression it is.
Yeah, you're not allowed, basically.
Not allowed. Okay, yeah, I do. I have heard of people.
I normally say, if you just don't be stupid on what you're doing, maybe you break down your purchases into smaller transactions. That normally solves it, pretty much.
And chuck a little bit through top cashback.
And there's ones like I know it's probably closed at the moment, but it was like delivery deals. They're literally a physical check version. But I've used them now and then. I think they're closed at the moment, but they'll open up. There's actually loads. I think there was another one that I've seen. Yeah, there's that. If you spend long enough looking, there is actually more than you think.
Yeah, there is. There's loads. You could spread it out if you want. Andy says I need to drop off. Thanks, guys. Great session. Cheers. No worries, Andy. See you next time. Alexander says, nothing preventing you from doing that and paying for it from a business account and then accounting for it as a business transaction. I guess she means property. Sue says, you understand me, Matt. I don't know if she's asking a question or she's telling me I understand her. I do understand you, Sue. Ray says, what do you wear to bed, Luke?
It's a very good question. Just pajamas. Easy.
Pajamas?
Checkered pajamas.
I'm a boxer guy, just my trunk boxers, nothing else. Natalie says, yeah, but it's happening, but don't worry about it until it happens. Great tip. David says, check my post, Matt. We have had an email asking for all our receipts between 19th of April and 1st of July with Holland and Barrett, Wilco Superdrug, Feel Unique, Boots, Body Shop, cool, blah, 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 blah. Okay, loads of them. Right. So, yeah. So, David, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen a few people having trouble with.
I've actually had that once. Just create another account under a different card. If you want to any advice.
Ray says, sicko. I don't know if he means your pajamas, mate.
Who knows?
What? Right.
No, I was like, I'm not going to be. Why am I sick of wearing pajamas? Okay, I'll go naked. Fine. God.
Let's hope your mate don't walk in. Or you've been for a fright if you roll around in the night. Right. Lovely. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Do you want to say anything else, Luke? Do you want to talk about Amazon a little bit before we go or not?
Well, I think I've covered everything that's going on. I mean, the last couple of sessions have been pretty intense, like with the Never Mind the Buy Box. Anyone got any quick questions on Amazon before we go?
Yeah, any quick questions on Amazon for Luke?
Otherwise, I'll probably be back in about 2 weeks. So if not, save them up in the piggy bank and fire them off then. That's it.
Anyone got any questions? I know it's delayed. You're probably just seeing us say
probably
that like 5 minutes ago. Oh, there you go. I can see you on my phone tapping your head just now, saving up the piggy bank. Natalie says, great sesh, guys. Any more questions? If not, we'll ta-ta. So I'll say my thank yous and all that stuff, and we'll say our bye-byes. And then if there is any questions, we'll just drop on it just before we go. But other than that, thanks so much for joining us. You're in the right place. Amazon is going to go from strength to strength. Thanks for the love, Ruth, and everybody else. Amazon's go from strength to strength. Q4 is coming. It's an exciting time to be alive. It's an exciting time on Amazon. Let's face it, things can't get much worse than 2020's been, just as a general. So it's only up from here. Have you planned the next decade, folks? Hopefully you have, because things are going to be spectacular. We're starting from a low point, so things are only going to get better. 2020 is a bit of a write-off for most people, but that's all right. Life goes on and we continue. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. Just going to read through it all.
Sean had to come up with the last question, didn't he?
Has he done it? Go on and answer it.
Said, when is Luke selling in Europe again? Because again, this is all those sales that I've been doing currently have just been in the UK. Then there's no Europe at all in any of that. Because I took it off because there were some issues with products. And I'll probably look before Q4, as Q4 is coming in, maybe in September, to add back to the European listings, because of course there is opportunity to be had. It's just that I've not needed to worry myself with it right now. But yeah,
you maniac, right? I tell you what's coming to Profit Protector Pro. I've not done any plugin this whole session.
You have not. You have.
I tell you what's coming to Profit Protector Pro, folks. You are going to be able to reprice. You're going to be able to set your mins, maxes, and strategies in Europe based on break evens and stuff. So you're going to be able to pull break evens through. So you'll know what your break even is. Hopefully, if it all goes well, you're going to know what your break even is in, say, a European marketplace. And with one click, you'll be able to pre-populate your mins based on a minimum profit or a minimum profit percentage, which basically translated means you'll be able to effectively sell in these other marketplaces at a profit without running into any nastiness, very, very, very easily and simply with one click. And that should be coming, it will be live next week, I imagine. Fingers crossed, if not soon after. So that's being worked on as we speak. So you'll be able to just press a button, Luke.
I know, it's amazing.
Amazing.
Bang, and it's done.
Bam, and it's gone. Seal it, bang, and the dirt is gone. Natalie says, great session, guys. Thanks, Nat. David says, been one of those days. Sorry to hear that. But great. Ruth says, thanks, guys. Karen says, thank you so much. Great live. Even though she's not been listening, she's had us on mute. Sean says, when is Luke? Oh, no, we've read that. Luke's commented, and you're there, which is weird.
I have, yes. I don't know why I did that. I don't know what happened.
Vlad says, woohoo. Good one night, guys. Cheers, Vlad. Good to see you on. Gareth says, thanks, guys. Monique says, thank you. Ray says, psh, 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 and all that stuff. Okay, we'll have to get your questions next time, guys. Ruth says, oh, PPP is the best. You got me?
Oh, I said, yeah, any questions that we haven't covered, you can just save them up for the next session.
Yeah. So Natalie will be on next week. She's got a special guest. It's not me, and it's not Luke. So I'm not sure who it is. I can't remember, but she's got a special guest on next week. And it's not Karen. Somebody else. Can't remember who. But yeah, same time, same place, 7 p.m. next week. Never mind the buy box on YouTube. Secret Wealth Project Facebook group. And yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks again, Luke, for joining us. It's been a pleasure, mate.
It's been excellent. I need like a finishing move, you know.
At the end of everyone, you do, mate. You do. Love it. Right,
thanks, everybody. It's been great to be here.
Yeah, thanks ever so much. Cheers, guys. Bye. Bye. See you next time.